joining me on the line as well is Agie Govender, Regional Manager of Childhood Cancer Foundation in KZN. And she has dedicated her work to supporting families affected by childhood cancer and advocating for, of course, greater awareness and support. So, of course, let's dive into our conversation. Agie, welcome to the Feel Good Friday for the very first time.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be with you.
It's only a pleasure. Apologies. So let's just get straight into it. Now, thank you for, of course, dedicating your work to childhood cancer awareness. But of course, can you share a story that drives your passion for this cause?
I'm a social worker by profession, so I've always had a deeper empathy for those who are challenged by physical or mental or emotional needs. And in 2009, when I joined Childhood Cancer Foundation, I actually didn't know what they were about. They were not a known organization. It just was in a very small area, although they looked after children, but, I didn't know. And the first family I met in 2010 was a family who lost their child. And watching that mother evolve through all the stages of loss and grief, really, it touched me so deeply that I could only think of what would happen to a parent getting up every day knowing they're never going to see their child. And I think from that, I got to know the children on the program. I got to know survivors on the program. And that's where my heart for children with cancer developed and continues.
Absolutely. But how has the Childhood Cancer Foundation made, a tangible impact in the KZN region? And what progress have you seen in the recent years?
So in terms of children with cancer, CHOC offers 4 basic programs, core programs. One of them is accommodation that we provide free of charge to any family who has a child diagnosed with cancer for as long as the child is in treatment. The second program is we notice that children come in for treatment and it takes a lot of money doing the treatment, and then they don't have bus fare to travel to and from. So we provide transport support. In that, we also notice that children don't have food when they go home, so then we do a grocery hamper. We also do a bereavement fund where we provide bereavement support to a child who has passed away. And if that child's body cannot be transported, we have a relationship with a funeral company that transports the child to their home. Sometimes we have a child lying for 2 or 3 weeks in the mortuary because of funding. So CHOC's core programs also include psychosocial programs to the child and their family from the time of diagnosis and throughout their journey. As well, the most important program that I see is the awareness and advocacy program, creating awareness of the early warning signs so that children can be diagnosed early, thus having a proper prognosis, a good prognosis.
Absolutely. Now, we all know that September is World Childhood Cancer Month, but what message would you like to convey to families affected by childhood cancer, and how can we as the community support them?
The most important thing about Awareness Month is to know the 6 early warning signs of childhood cancer. And if I can have like a minute or 2 minutes to just talk about those. It's called the Siluan signs, SILUAN. And the first one is seek help for persistent symptoms. So if you have any symptom that's persistent, you must get help. Go to a doctor. And also before talking about the signs, I also want to say we understand the beneficiaries that we deal with. They come from the public sector. So a lot of their focus is on cultural aspects. So they'd go to a traditional healer, which we completely endorse, because that is probably the only health professional a health worker or health professional that they'll ever see. So the first port of call would be to a traditional healer. And we congratulate any child who enters the public health system, because the journey that parent goes through is a long journey. So the first one is seek help for persistent symptoms. The second one is eye, and we look at the physical eye. In the eye, there might be a bulge, there might be a white light, which is actually a tumor growing at the back of the eye or a slight squint. The next one is lumps anywhere on the body, but they must be as hard as the elbow. That's a lump of cancer, of childhood cancer. The next U is any unexplained problem like light bruising, pallor under the eye, breakage of limbs, any kind of that, any unexplained sign. And the fifth one is aches. Any kind of aches, and a good one, any child who complains of a backache. No child should complain of a backache. And then finally is N, where it's neurological. If there's an increase in the size of the head, if there's a decline in milestones, a child is crawling, walking, running, and suddenly they running, walking, crawling, they're going backwards. And as I said, in terms of balance, a loss of balance. So those are the signs. We want every parent, teacher, adult to know if they have the child in their vicinity and they see the signs, they must refer this child to their base hospital or even call us at Inkosi Albert Luchili.
Absolutely. But what are some of the, the common misconceptions about, childhood cancer, and how can we, of course, dispel them?
The most common is children don't get cancer. And that's an absolute untruth, because as your introduction, you said a number of children will be diagnosed. 2,400 children should be diagnosed, but we're only finding 1,200. So there's 1,200 children that are dying with never ever having seen a hospital, and they would die a very awful death because the pain of cancer is inexplicable. The second thing is that it's a white man's disease, and that's completely untrue as well. Childhood cancer affects children from 0 until 12 years old, and once you're 12, you're treated as an adult with adult protocols until 18, so it doesn't discriminate in terms of race. Those are some of the things. And it's not a rich man's disease as well. It can happen. Childhood cancer happens across the board.
Absolutely. But can you share with, of course, our listeners, some success, and how do you view success within your programs?
Success with childhood cancer in any human being, if you ask them what's a success, they will always talk about what you achieve and your progress. And now in childhood cancer, one might think if a child survives childhood cancer, that is a success, which in truth has an element of success to it, because this child is a warrior going through this awful journey, a soldier fighting a battle, and comes through the end. The family comes to the end. That would be one of the levels of success. But in what we see, in what I've witnessed, any child or family who's been through the journey, and even if the child does not survive, it's still a journey that has been fought, and children have come through and families have come through. And even if a child passes on, the fact that that mother and family gets up on a daily basis, that is a good day for that mother. So it's never a win or a lose. It's always a loss, because even if a child survives cancer and that child gets a common cold, my child gets a common cold, it's just a common cold. But a child with cancer, you would think every possibility that can go wrong. So that's how I see, in terms of survival and success rate, what it is. We have children who have graduated, who've come through the journey, and in our community, in the Muslim community as well, whoever's listening to it, there are some young people who have come through the journey, and there are those who did not make the journey, but they fought hard.
Absolutely. So how can our listeners, of course, get involved and make a difference to fight, of course, against childhood cancer?
If you've got a business, you can have our pamphlets with you. at your desk. It's in isiZulu, it's in English, and if you want another language, we can add to that. You can call us to give talks to your staff if you've got a huge staff about creating awareness. You can host a function for us, like a paid forward tea, in order to raise funds and create awareness, because we do rely on the public for support. We don't get government funding. We have to raise 4 million plus a year. But I mean, we're not the only organization. But in terms of for us to continue the work we do, and if you have a heart for children with cancer, we'd always value any donation received. We have a Section 18A that you can use for tax purposes, so we give you that as well. That's how you can help us. Go onto our website, which is www.choc.org.za. Look at what we're doing. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, and follow the KZN page, please.
Absolutely. Now, Agie, you are, of course, a beacon of hope for many. What keeps you motivated and inspired, of course, in your critical work?
I must say, the only time I speak for children with cancer and their family is when they are voiceless, when they are going through the journey and they've lost a child, or they're going through treatment and their voice is just captured and they cannot speak anymore. That's when I would step in and speak on behalf of them. All other times, it's their voice that is most important. Every time I see a child who's going through the battle, and this week we lost 2 children on our program, and every one of those children, the young Alma would walk into our office, our staff would play with her, and interact with her. And when we heard that she had passed away, we were so broken, because it is that child that we're not the parents of that child, but we get so connected with that child. Motivation comes from my team, watching the doctors work, watching those children go through this journey. It's an unspeakable journey. It's not a journey no one chooses to go through. So in my opinion, they are actually the wind beneath our wings. They are the one that motivates me on a daily basis. And as I said from the start of the program, watching parents go through this journey and having lost children or go through this unspeakable journey actually makes me want to talk about the early warning signs of childhood cancer. And to complete my segment, I just wanted to say there's a saying at St. Jude Hospital that no child should die in the dawn of their lives. And that is what CHOC strives for. No child should ever see the end of this journey by not surviving.
Absolutely. Well, Agie, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, hoping that we can get you on the Feel Good Friday at a later stage.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure, Bibi Amina.
It's only a
Thank you.
pleasure. You're welcome.